SpaceX just went public at a valuation above $2 trillion. That number is crazy. But the price is not the strangest part. The strangest part is the machine behind it. Because this IPO is not just about who wants to buy SpaceX. It is about who can get pulled into the line. Index funds, retirement accounts, public pensions, retail investors. And at the end of the line, there is still one more question. Who gets the seat? And who keeps the cockpit key? SpaceX builds real rockets. It lands boosters, it runs Starlink, the rocket is real, the game is in the ticket window. The old rocket business treated rockets like disposable forks. Use one, throw most of it away, build another. That is normal for plastic forks. It is ridiculous for machines that have to escape Earth. SpaceX helped change that. It launches boosters, lands them, checks them, and flies them again. Then there is Starlink, a satellite internet business that turns little dishes on rooftops into monthly receipts. Mars gets the headline, but monthly payments help pay the bills. And the US government is also a major customer. So yes, there is a real machine here. But even a real machine does not automatically explain a $2 trillion price tag. For that, we need to ask why the ticket window opened now. And this is the first part of the game: timing. For years, SpaceX had good reasons to stay private. Private companies do not have to explain themselves every 90 days. They do not have millions of public shareholders asking why Mars is taking so long. And they do not have the stock market reacting to every launch delay, every accident, and every strange tweet. So why open the ticket window now? One answer is timing. AI is the hottest story in the market. OpenAI, Anthropic, and other AI companies may all want enormous amounts of public money. And Wall Street only has so much attention for giant future stories at one time. If everyone is trying to sell the future, going first matters. IPO timing is not just a date on a calendar, it is part of the product. The boarding pass is easier to sell when the crowd already believes the destination might be real. And this ticket does not have one destination. It has a whole menu: Starlink, XAI, orbital data centers, moon factories, Mars. Somewhere near the end of the brochure, there is even a civilization that can use the energy of its star. That is not a normal IPO pitch. That is not, we hope margins improve next quarter. That is a map to the next chapter of humanity. A rocket company is valued on launches. A civilization company is valued on possibilities. That is why the share certificate starts to look like a boarding pass. The pitch for orbital AI sounds beautiful. Put computers in space. Give them sunlight. Let the cold universe handle the cooling. Tiny problem. Space is cold. But cold is not the same as cooling. On Earth, data centers push heat into air and water. In space, there is no outside air for a fan to push around. Every megawatt of computing power still creates roughly a megawatt of heat. And at data center scale, you are not talking about a cute little metal fin. You may be talking about radiators the size of football fields. So the ticket is already being sold. But the airport is still mostly a construction sign and a patch of concrete. For regular investors, owning SpaceX can feel like a souvenir from the future. A ticket that says, "I was there when the rocket left the ground." Professional investors have a different problem. Imagine a fund manager facing two buttons. One button says, "Buy too high." The other says, "Miss the next era." For a normal investor, buying too high hurts your wallet. For a fund manager, missing the next era can hurt your career. And here is the strange part. Some people in the line may not even know they are in the line. That is the uncomfortable part. You may not be betting on Mars, but your money might be. And if the future takes longer than the price expects, the hard question is, who ends up holding the bag? If SpaceX enters major indexes, ordinary retirement accounts and public pension funds can end up with exposure through passive funds. Not because teachers, firefighters, and nurses opened a trading app and shouted, "Take me to Mars," because the financial plumbing can quietly move their money toward the ticket window. And then the robot shoppers arrive. An index fund is a robot shopper with a list. If SpaceX gets added to the Nasdaq 100, funds tracking that list have to adjust. They are not buying because Mars looks cool, they are buying because the list changed. Now combine that with a narrow ticket window. Only a small slice of SpaceX is publicly available at first. The rest sits with insiders and early investors. For low float stocks, Nasdaq's rule can count the available float at up to 3 times its size for index weighting. This is the second part of the game. Rules. That is not magic. That is market plumbing. And market plumbing is boring right up until it starts moving billions of dollars. There is another clock running in the background. More shares can become available later. The locked cabinet does not stay locked forever. So the first question is, how many people want a ticket today? The second question is, how many tickets reach the counter tomorrow? A rocket launch happens in seconds. Price discovery takes longer. And the final part of the game is control. There is one more detail. A public boarding pass does not come with the cockpit key. Public Class A shares get 1 vote each. Class B shares get 10 votes each. After the IPO, Musk still controls the overwhelming majority of the voting power, so the public can buy a seat. But Elon still holds the cockpit key. For some investors, that is a feature. They want the person who landed the rockets to keep flying the ship. For others, it is a warning label. If public money is on the rocket, people naturally ask, who can touch the steering wheel? So what is the capital game behind SpaceX's IPO? It is not one trick, it is a system. A real machine makes the ticket believable. A huge future makes the ticket expensive. A hot AI market makes the timing powerful. Index rules can bring robot shoppers to the counter. Locked shares shape the first supply of tickets. And the public can buy a seat without holding the cockpit key. That is why this IPO is so fascinating. A ticket can become valuable before the airport exists, but eventually, someone still has to build the airport. So the real question is not whether rockets are cool. Of course they are. The question is, how much should the world pay for a boarding pass to a future that has not arrived yet? And what happens if the queue gets tired before the runway is finished? This is not financial advice. If you enjoy money stories explained with stick figures instead of 300 pages of paperwork, subscribe. There are plenty of strange machines hiding in plain sight.